Hey guys, do you have a sack of potatoes sitting somewhere on your counter or in your pantry and you're just feeling uninspired and don't know what to do with that super budget-friendly food? Well, stay tuned. I'm going to give you 3 fresh new ideas that you are going to love that are simple, easy, and will keep you satisfied. So stay tuned. We're going to get into it in a second. Hey guys, my name is Jen. If you don't already know me, I am a busy mom with 3 kids. I'm a holistic nutritionist, but most importantly, I am passionate about empowering and encouraging people much like yourself to adopt a more plant-based lifestyle. If that sounds good to you, please consider subscribing. Make sure to hit that bell so you are notified when I upload new videos, which happens weekly. And if nothing else, look in the description and connect with me on some other social media platforms. So let's get into the video. So like I said, we're going to be working with a bag of potatoes. I happen to buy a 5-pound bag of red potatoes. Real quick, I want to show you a trick I always use, especially with using a sharp knife like we'll be using. I always put a wet rag or a very slightly damp rag underneath my cutting board so it does not move. You're going to need a couple sheet pans. I've got my little silicone mats here. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in these. They are awesome. It's a non-stick, you don't have to worry about spraying anything down, and they're super easy to clean. A special thanks to Kaizen Cutlery. They are sponsoring this video with this beautiful chef's knife. Now there is a lot of different knife options out there, guys, a lot of which are upwards of hundreds of dollars. This is one of the more budget-friendly ones, but it is beautiful and it works absolutely fantastically. So I was so excited to use it in this video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by just cutting my onion into wedges. We're going to use this for our tray of roasted peppers, potatoes, and onions. So I'm just going to de-skin this onion and then we're going to slice it into wedges. So for the peppers, I just happen to have a bunch of the tops and bottoms. I was doing a stir fry the night before and these were my extras. So I'm just really gonna slice them kind of haphazardly. They don't have to be in any necessarily uniform size. I'm just gonna go through with my chef's knife here and just slice those all up. And then we're just gonna add this to our sheet pan with our onions and then we'll get our potatoes cut up. And then last but not least, I'm just taking a handful of my red potatoes and I am going to dice them up into bite-sized pieces and add them to the sheet pan. So once everything's on our sheet pan, I'm just gonna give it a nice drizzle of olive oil and then just simply season it with some salt and fresh cracked pepper. Then I'm just gonna toss everything really quick to make sure it's pretty well coated with the olive oil and the seasoning. And then I'm gonna pop it in my oven that has already been preheated to 425 degrees. And this will cook anywhere between about 22 to 28 minutes. Next up, we're going to make some Parmesan fries, and we're going to again just use a sheet pan or baking sheet And I've got my silicone mat, again, which will be linked in the description if you're interested in those. They are fantastic for potatoes. There's a lot of starch in potatoes and they tend to stick. Again, we're going to be using our beautiful Kaizen Cutlery chef's knife. Look for that in the description to get your discount code for this beautiful chef's knife. And I'm just going to cut my potatoes in half and then kind of cut them again into 3 wedges. So after transferring my potato wedges to the baking sheet, again, I'm just going to drizzle them with some olive oil, and then this time I'm going to season them with sea salt, a little bit of garlic powder, and then some nutritional yeast. And again, we're just going to use our hands and just kind of mix them until they're nicely coated. And these are also going to bake at 425 degrees for about the same time, usually between about 25 to 30 minutes. And then lastly, for our third idea, again, we're going to be using a baking sheet. And again, I'm just showing you, I've got my silicone mats. And we are going to be doing your typical baked potato, but we're going to top it with something a little bit fun in the end that's going to make these super filling and not your ordinary baked potato. So if you are not super comfortable using a knife, especially a sharp knife like this particular one from Kaizen Cutlery, you definitely might want to stick with a fork. But I'm just going to go ahead and pierce these potatoes. I should mention that my potatoes have all been washed and cleaned really well. And so I'm just going to pierce them and then stick them back on the baking sheet. And these are going to bake at 400 degrees for about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how big your potatoes are. Oh my gosh, you guys, I could seriously sit here with a fork and just eat this baking sheet by itself. It's so good. I'm just gonna top it with some fresh herbs. I happen to have cilantro, so I just chopped that up. I'm gonna top it with that. Delicious. Next up is our Parmesan fries. Guys, these things are so good. My kids absolutely flip for these. They taste like a cheesy potato. And the crispness, you can see right there, the texture is so good. You have got to try these. And then last but not least is our baked potato, which I love to stuff with beans, corn, some avocado, a little bit of cilantro again, and some fresh salsa. Put a Mexican twist on a baked potato. It is super nutritious and really filling. And it definitely is a nice twist from just your normal baked potato. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, make sure to give it a thumbs up if you like. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, and we'll see you back here soon.